Hello and welcome to another episode of Political Breakdown, the show where we talk about the news for some fucking reason. It's constantly hell and the weather is coming along with us this week. Isn't it warm? Don't we like complaining about it? My guest this week is friend of the show, Daniel Cadey. All right, Dan, how's it going?
Very well, thanks, Ash. I'm enjoying the weather, to be honest. Yeah, good to have it being sunnier today, but it's a bit overcast. But yeah, do you want to just do that for an hour? Is that good?
Or just talk about how much you enjoy the weather?
I think there's going to be some thunder midweek, because I think we've got some pressure coming in. And that should sort of like help to relieve some of this closeness that you're feeling. You don't like feeling closeness, do you?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't like feeling closest to anything.
Intimacy with the weather.
It is put me in quite good stead for life. I think. But the only reason I'm okay with the weather is it does mean that the cricket can continue and it's not going to be rained off, which I am a big fan of the cricket. A fantastic test going on at the moment between England and Pakistan, of course. Be very interesting. If England win it, it will be one hell of a fucking comeback, frankly. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
And no, we're here to talk about the comeback later on, which will be Chelsea versus Bayern, the 3-0, overturning 3-0. Is that the big comeback?
Are you 3-0 down? I say you're not fucking playing. The team you support, are Chelsea 3-0 down?
Yeah, no, I must say that I love you playing cricket for England as well. But yeah, we're
3-0 down. Let's begin. We've shown our compatibility in our banter there, so we'll be able to show that we're going to be fantastic on screen together.
The new wave Chuckle Brothers
just boils. Yes. To me to fuck off.
To me to fuck you. Go.
So let's start with some fun news. So after more than a decade, a decision has finally been reached to allow wild beavers to stay on the River Otter in Devon permanently.
Yeah.
So they first said that they first noticed that there are wild otters around 2006. There was actual evidence around 2013. There's been a lot of talk because what the government wanted to do was put them all in captivity. But this is actually the first time in England that we have managed to reintroduce an previously extinct national mammal into England. Now, my first question, of course, is how angry is Nigel Farage?
What, that beavers are back?
Yes, well, they've obviously come from abroad. They haven't just magicked up, although they are Eurasia beavers, which used to be common before they were hunted to extinction for their pelts.
Oh, I thought you said that used to be the communards, but yeah, the Eurasia. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because aren't they beavers, are they American, or am I just getting that from a cartoon?
Well, there are American beavers, but they're also European
They get
beavers.
Around? Okay. What's the difference with beaver and otter? Is it mainly the tail? Have you looked into beavers a lot since reading this?
The difference between beavers and otters are they're different animals.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. But it's just the river otter that they're living in. So are they taking the otters?
Yeah, but they're not living in a massive otter.
And I imagine in a dam.
There isn't a fucking massive otter that they're all fucking living on like parasites.
But I thought they might have called the river otter because that was it wishful thinking. So is there a lot of otters that live together?
I don't know why they fucking called it like that.
Do they live together, otters and beavers? Are beavers and otters friends?
I don't know. Frankly, I just wanted to start with this story so we can talk about and we can use it as a parallel to the immigration stories that we've been hearing and the bigoted views of the likes of Priti Patel and Nigel Farage. And I like the idea of them getting angry over us allowing beavers to permanently stay where they are. I also like the idea that people went to court over the beavers. I want to see little beavers in suits. I think it's going to be a fun idea going for having their day in court. I like that idea. I'm chucking a bit of whimsy to start with, Dan, and you're killing it.
Just thumping their little tails on the desk. They could overpower the gavel. No, I'm on your side. Did you see the nude man chase the pig?
Yes, saw that.
This is getting more like That's Life, isn't it? Yeah.
I didn't write any of that down because, frankly, I thought one kooky story was enough.
You can remember it as well. You don't really need to write nude man chasing pig who stole laptop, do you? It's just there in the head. He gave it his all, apparently. Someone said. I think that was before he got the laptop back. But did you before this? Before the I think so. I mean, well, basically, the pig realised that he didn't have any of the passwords or anything to get into it, so he just chucked it. He just found it in a bush. The
swine. Thank you. Okay. This is going to be a fun one.
See that there's a flu as well about that. Yeah, but did you know that beavers were before that story? Did you know that we didn't have beavers, or did you know that we had beavers and there weren't that many beavers, so we needed to reintroduce beavers? Or were you like me? You just read that story, you're like, I'm surprised by a lot of this.
I knew that they became extinct in this country. As a number
good job of it.
Animals. So they were extinct for like 400 years from this country. I'm not sure how they got in. It turns out that we had to reintroduce more beavers in because the beavers that were wild were inbred.
They might be badgers in disguise, but badgers trying to escape the cows by just whacking on a big pine cone,
like the mammal transformers.
Yeah,
beavers, badgers in disguise.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know as much as we used to, so now we're just like, oh shit, there's loads of beavers about with their big white stripe down their back.
I think we've done enough for the fun story. Let's
keep off the depressing stuff. Yeah.
Well, we're going to. German car manufacturer Audi has apologized for an advert showing a little girl eating a banana in front of a high-performance car after it drew criticism from social media. Now, critics said it was provocative and life-threatening, some pointing out that the driver would not be able to see the child infant in front of the grill. Others said that it was sexually suggestive, as bananas and sports cars are often seen as symbols of male lust. How disgusting of a society are we?
Have you seen the advert?
Yes. I saw the picture. I saw the still picture of the infant in front of the car with the banana.
I mean, is it full on Cadbury's flake, or is it just a child eating a banana?
No, she's eating a banana.
The potassium levels.
She's eating a banana.
What? Like, they're just.
She's not deep throating a banana. She's eating a banana.
Is she peeling it?
She's eating it.
But she doesn't.
There is nothing in it that is sexually provocative unless you yourself are a fucking paedophile.
Oh, and is the car moving towards her while she's eating it?
The car is fucking still.
So it's
not moving. It's just
a child eating a banana next to a car.
Yeah, wearing a fucking dress. No, in front. She's standing in front of it with her back against the grill, eating a banana. And people going, well, that's fucking dangerous and sexy. But what the fuck's wrong with you people?
Yeah, it's more like a litmus test to sort of like weed out very like offense. There is a point where, you know, offense comes into being more about the person that's offended, where you're like, hey, dude, that's, you know, but like, the first person that says that must be really happy that someone else says, yeah, that make you think of sex. I'm not thinking of sex, but that could make people think of sex, couldn't it? You know,
exactly.
I don't know. It doesn't really. I'm not sure. That's just a child. Children eat bananas. We're trying to encourage children to. So we're trying to encourage kids to like anti-obesity and everything. But you shouldn't put a banana eating child in an advert for a car. She should have a big old spilling kebab. Is that suggestive? Is that suggestive?
Oh, I mean, it's the madness of it. We're showing a society where we're trying to protect for no fucking reason.
Yeah, I can't.
There's no reason to stop this this advert because you're going, oh, it's dangerous because a driver wouldn't be able to see the fucking. Are you looking at every pissing advert and going, well, logically that doesn't actually make too much sense? They're going, wait, Halifax used to do adverts where everything was a fucking singing contest and everyone started fucking singing everything. That doesn't happen in real life. You've got the Go Compare advert man who can fucking fly. You've got talking, pissing gophers or whatever they are, meerkats.
Beavers.
Beavers. None of this is fucking real. And you're going, oh no, this is dangerous just in case a fucking girl, a child, fucking gets a banana and stands in front of a car for some fucking reason.
I feel like the dangerous driving aspect was probably tagged on by someone who initially didn't get a response when they said, that's like the kids giving a blowjob, isn't it?
Yeah.
And no one batted an eyelid. No, it's dangerous. The car could hit them. Whatever they're doing, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's that anything at that point then with a child in really can just become too suggestive. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
where
fucking...
like you can't have that in there. That it's not like, so in, I think it was like the 80s or the 70s, it was, which makes it a surprise that it was quite bad. But there was a thing like Pop Tots or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but the name of it. But it was young, very, very young kids dressed up as pop stars. And that was sort of like over-sexualized, sort of, they were like singing along to pop hits of the day. And there you were like looking back on that, you're like, oh mate, no, that's wrong. Dude, that's not something that's really, that's not something that we had. But to swing it that far where you're like, is a child eating some fruit with a car. And like you can't get that far beyond. Is this because, I mean, if she was, I'm wondering if there's also sort of like a connection to emojis and that, where the banana has gone that far. I mean, if she was licking like an aubergine or something, I'd be like, that is suggestive. But eating a banana, you're like, eh.
Well, it just shows there's something wrong with society. Yeah, it shows there's something wrong with society when you see a child eating a banana and you'll go, well, that's sexual. But it's not. It's someone eating a fucking banana. It's a child eating a banana, you creepy prick.
And is there a correlation? So they're saying as well, like the sports car is also this sort of like male. So is there an equal balance? So if you've got maybe like a Dacia or a Skoda or so, if you lowered the car down and maybe she was chewing a carrot, or so, is there some correlation where we get this exactly right? Where you get a little focus group where you're like, well, the girl needs to be this age. She's eating maybe a pear, a conference pear, or one of those stubbier pears that looks more like an apple, and the car is shit, and you go, that's not sexual.
Should Audi have apologized for this?
No, it sounds like they just want to clear it up and be like, oh, right, yeah, okay,
just move on.
Yeah, it's done. Whatever.
Yeah. Apologies. We'll no longer use children in any of our adverts, and our cars will be Munters. They're
advertising cars with children's safety seats, but they have to use adults in the film just to get round. We don't need to think it's too sexual when they're squeezing in, putting the belt on. Or is that you or me?
Getting a fucking adult into a child seat whilst they're tweeting because they're big fucking babies, trying to sexualize children. This is the problem. Audi weren't sexualizing children. Social media was. And we do have a problem with sexualizing children in society. We do. I mean, TikTok seems to be a lot of fucking 12-year-old girls and 12-year-old boys dancing about how much they want pussy and cock. You're going, well, this can't be right. This can't be a fucking thing. There's something fundamentally wrong here. You can't be doing this. But I understand that there is a problem with the sexualization of children. This fucking advert was not one of them.
Is that what TikTok is? It took me a long time to get Instagram, and I'm still not entirely sure.
I'm not 100% sure what Instagram is. I'm not 100% sure what TikTok is. I've never felt older in my entire fucking life. I've tried to watch some TikTok. It seems to be, and I said before, it seems to be fucking like sexual exploitation of children and emotional manipulation. It's very weird. All for attention. And we'll go on talking about fucking social media and everything else. I saw this earlier. of there was a video on Twitter of someone bringing a plate of food to a homeless person. Now, you look at that and you go, oh, you're doing something nice. If you're recording yourself doing it, does that take away from the kindness of the action?
I don't think it doesn't take away from the kindness of the action. It does take something away. It sort of implicates the reason why you're making the action in the first place, perhaps. Also, a lot of people don't have that sort of self-awareness that is really corrupt is too strong a word, but a lot of people have a lot of self-awareness, but not sort of like, or but not really self-knowledge, if you know what I mean. In that they sort of seem to know, they've got more self-knowledge and know an awful lot about themselves, but like that awareness of like how they're actually projecting themselves to other people, there's a real block there. So they're like, I'm doing something really good. Look, I'm doing something really good. And they don't see how that's kind of corrupted to be like, look at me. I'm showing you me doing something really good. So they're kind of doing it in this way to achieve some sort of glory as well, but they don't actually see that connect between how that then can actually corrupt the thing that they're actually doing, the actual action.
Well, it's this. And then you get into the question: would you do it without the camera?
Yeah, which I mean, again, not to suggest I don't bother watching anything in prep for this, but to be honest, I didn't know you were going to talk about beavers and then Twitter. But are they filming themselves like with a selfie stick or something? I'm very modern.
No,
selfie stick. They've got someone to film.
From what it looked, someone else was filming it because they were holding the can and the plate. But it was doing it for them. It was put onto their thing, going, oh, look, this is what we need more of, and all of this stuff. And you're there going, with all of it, if you're only doing it because there's a camera, then the question is, do we need more cameras to do nicer things? Or are we only ever going to achieve anything if you get the pat on the back that you think you deserve for doing something nice?
There's enough, well, they might be trying to promote, they might be trying to sort of like say, hey, look, we could all do a bit more of this, but then they don't have that further awareness to be that actually this will probably infuriate a lot more people than it does inspire them. So again, that's where I go back to that whole self-awareness versus self-knowledge thing. Now, in this video, does she actually hand this stuff over, or like a good social distancing person, does she stop 2 meters away, then just throw it directly at the homeless person?
No, hands it over. And it's on a plate. It is not useful. It's not conductive for fucking to hand over a plate, a knife and fork while someone's sitting at the side of a street. That's not going to be comfortable eating for anyone.
Yeah, like Tesco meal deal, something like that. That's what you want, isn't it? Bang, there's your stuff.
Well, you want something that they're able to fucking move with, I assume. But I mean, that's besides the point. It's the video aspect that has annoyed me. But I think that's just because we've got a selfish society grown by the likes of social media allowing. I mean, fuck it. I do this. You want to talk about? I mean, it's very difficult for a stand-up just to talk about how awful it is people wanting attention when I myself go, well, look at my fucking opinions. Aren't they worth listening to?
Yeah, I mean, not. well, there's another argument now. But go back to the video of this. It does. There are a few things that it raises questions for me. It's like, was this like she'd already cooked a big meal and they had spare and there was someone out there, or did she see a homeless person and get her friend to sort of like, can you make sure this person doesn't leave because I'm going to knock something up? And he's like, oh, I want to go elsewhere. It's like, no, it's just going to take 3 hours. I'm going to knock you up a nice meal. It's like, I've really got to get into my digs. Because there's a lot of like, you know, is it just sort of like wandering out with that thing, and he's going like, oh, actually, I'm lactose.
Well, see now, all of the background. I don't know all of the background. It's simply just what the video. When I say video, I mean video. I don't mean here's a fucking 4-hour movie about the prep of the fucking work.
Well, yeah, exactly. We start with wedges, and then we do. Yeah, that could be a great way.
Not doing. They weren't talking about how they fucking seasoned it. It was just a girl with a fucking plate of food handing it to a fucking homeless man.
Yeah,
while it's being recorded.
Russell Brand, Jamie Oliver sort of like mashup. It all sort of like shows him making the meal, goes out there, and it ends with him getting a hand job. Yeah, it's a good little idea. How to do these things. I mean, did you even watch to the end? Does a homeless person get poisoned? It might have just been a video about trying to clear up the streets.
How long do you reckon a Twitter video is? The longest you can do a Twitter video is like 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Characters. Is it?
Oh, that's 140 characters, and it's 280 now, isn't it? That's been for a while.
I don't know. You can see why people are going to TikTok, can't you?
Yeah, I think that's shorter, isn't it?
No idea, sure.
You on Reddit? Let's move on. This is on Reddit. We do put it up on Reddit. Although it's another thing, I've got no idea what that is. I don't. The majority of social media stuff, I don't have a fucking clue what it is. I don't know how to use it. I don't see the point in a lot of it. But I mean, like things like Twitter, I enjoy. YouTube has some decent videos. The Marble Olympics, the best thing on YouTube.
No, not again. Where's the Marble Olympics?
It's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant. You can't get better than the Marble Olympics. It is sport the way sport should be done. And they have a lot more personality than a number of sports people. But that's understandable because they're not dealing with the same level of scrutiny as real life things. There is very, very few interviews going on against marbles.
I reckon it'll be a draw, but I don't reckon we'll get 3 goals. So I reckon we'll get some pride, but we won't go through. Right. That's my tip. Any betting?
Keir Starmer. This is going to come out. Oh no, it's coming out today. So if someone watches it straight away, they may get that. Keir Starmer has come out and said that an inquiry must be held into the purchase of 50 million masks that were later deemed unsuitable for use by NHS workers. So this is the 252 medical supplies contract that was awarded to an investment firm in April that seemingly didn't have any previous experience in PPE.
They had a Chinese factory.
Yeah,
that was it. They said, "Oh, but we've got sole usage of a factory in China," and they've also got a link to what's her name? Female. It's an ex Tory advisor. Well, actually, might even be a present Tory advisor. There's links to the Tories through it. Did you know about
that? Yes. Well, this is the thing with all of these.
That's something you should know, and I shouldn't.
All of these contracts that have been handed out without tender have seemingly come from people who have connections with Tories. Like this one in particular was an advisor to Liz Truss.
See?
And he owned a contract.
Saying without names. Yeah, it's shocking.
And you're there going, at any point, do you want to hide your own corruption? Because this is, we have such a corrupt government at the moment that we are no longer able to look at other countries and go, well, that's terrible. That wouldn't happen here. Because all of it would.
So little of it has been spoken about as well, which is that this is the thing with me, that for me at the moment, is that I am starting to feel this weird, almost emotional disconnect with the news, where it's like every day, just getting immersed in it and just feeling such a disconnect now, where it's just all such a level of depression where I don't even feel, it's hard to even engage with in a way. So I'm reading it all. It's like when you're reading a book that you know you should read, but you're not quite enjoying it, and you start to think, am I just shit at reading now? But because it's just not having that connection anymore. So that's what I have every day now with the news, because I'll look at the websites and go like, oh no, all the links have been clicked. I have read all of this, but it's just kind of washed over me. And I think that you get that with a lot of this sort of stuff as well, where it's like the Lords thing of like having, 32 odd new Lords, even, and whilst simultaneously saying, oh no, we still believe we should be bringing the numbers down. You just added more than anyone has for about 20 years. Yeah, but we do believe in following our mandate.
And your brother. And your friends. It was just the level of corruption that we have now, and especially we need to be quick on it, because soon Boris Johnson is going to take away the powers of the judiciary. That we're going to have nothing to fucking, unless we pick up sticks and go and try to fucking overthrow Parliament, we'll have no recourse at all to stop them. I mean, this company that we're talking about, the 50 million PPE fuck up.
That didn't fulfill its contract. But they've still got the money, which is beggars belief.
So they're a company called Ayanda Capital, which describes itself as specialising in currency trading, offshore property, private equity, and trade financing. What of those four things suggests, you know what we can also do? Medical grade PPE.
I bet they could probably get ferries if you need ferries as well.
This is it. How stupid do people have to be to ever vote for these knobheads? This is what's blowing my mind. Is there something in the water? Am I missing something? Have I fucking woken up from a dream?
Well, it's kind of parallel to the whole draining of the swamp thing, isn't it? You get lots of people the people that are parading around most about transparency at the moment are then basically just there to reduce and almost like centralize power, but mainly centralize money and adulation flow towards themselves with little to no transparency whatsoever. To be able to have people like, what was it, Robert Jernick, what's his name again? Robert, the guy with the Jemerick, where all the stuff that's going on with him. We're going to be speaking about him soon. But glorious. But yeah, all of this stuff where it's just like it's the most sort of like corrupt that I can remember in a hell of a long time. People that just like with the Cummings thing as well, just sort of like no one being fired or even being held to account for things that they've done, and they continue to then just amass this power. So even we've had like the small win of at least Grayling didn't sort of like get through in the getting onto the being the chief executive, the mastermind, having Russia,
national security head.
Yeah, but as soon as you try, you can't. There's no time to bask in any tiny little victory because there is always some other shit that is going along. So you've got the most corrupt sort of government in fucking years, and then on the other side, you've got an argument from like the ex-Labour leader still sort of like dragging on to we should have actually been in power.
Corbyn needs to fucking wind it in.
Like who? Just like this is the same as let's say Chelsea. So that if a team does well, you do look back and you will review things. But if you do badly, you're going to find shed loads of mistakes. But even winning teams have got a lot of mistakes in them. But the fact that now they're like, well, we didn't win because of these reasons. Like, no, these are very negligible little things about like disagreements about not it's not what they're calling like fraud, where they're saying like money went where it shouldn't, etc. It's just like very sort of like small little disagreements have suddenly turned into fraud.
One of them was someone who worked at local council when John McDonnell wanted to go and do a rally there. The place that they chose was a place far away, so that they couldn't have supporters there. You go, well, wait, fucking do it yourself then. Don't get them fucking involved. If you think everyone's against you, then fucking do some shit yourself. But these 75,000 reasons as to why Jeremy Corbyn didn't become PM, notice that not a single one of them is Jeremy Corbyn shit. That's why he didn't become PM, because he's shit. And they're not going on about why did they got absolutely trounced at the 2019 election. No one's fucking saying that at the moment, are they?
And what was the biggest issue that kept coming up on the doorstep? Corbyn.
Yeah. Corbyn's a cunt. He's a cult leading cunt.
Who cares about the party? So let us do this then. No, fraud. And also, we did definitely try and do stuff about anti-Semitism. He's got too much of a circle around him where he doesn't even realise. Like, so, some people see things in black and white, but he only sees white because he thinks he's whiter than white. I mean, this is that there seems to be no. He won't admit any sort of like weakness or frailty. Well, even after the defeat, McDonnell comes out being like, "It's all on me." So fucking hell, he's not Jesus. Like what?
Well, this is it. But this is the problem with politicians. We have a selection of politicians that are the worst that have ever fucking been. Politicians normally are useless piles of wank. But at least when, even 5 years ago, when they fucked up, they fucked off.
Yeah, go on a railway journey.
Now they fuck up and they fall upwards. It's madness. Like, we can continue because there's another piece of story. There's another news this week on this corruption in our system of giving companies that have no fucking reason being near the government contracts. If we look at the likes of Serco as a prime example, G4S, these used to be construction companies that are now teaching children for some fucking reason I'll never understand.
We're doing track and trace, aren't they? Is that the track and trace one?
Serco and Citel, the ones who are employing the 20,000 employees for the coronavirus track and trace. And we'll go on to that particular story then, because I have that story as well. A story about that. Where are you?
While you're trying to look for that, do you think, in the sake of balance, I'd be interested to hear about, not now, but I would be interested to know if any of these, so so many things have been offered out, not for tender because the process has changed, because we're, during this time of, which we've responded to superbly, if you listen to Boris Johnson, by having the most deaths. So we've been doing so well, but whilst doing so well, we've needed to get rid of a whole fair and transparent tendering service to give jobs to the boys. But the boys being people that pay the most money to people in government, not the most money for the actual contract. I'd be curious to know if any of them have, by hook or by crook, actually succeeded. Have any contracts actually succeeded? Because it seems to be everything so far. Obviously, you're always going to hear about the bad ones, but I'm just really curious to know, has anything accidentally gone well? Is there a firm that usually does, I don't know, sort of like money management, but has turned out to be, actually, we run a really good freight system? Who would have thought it? Has anyone done that? Or is it all just been, bollocks, fucked it again? They're all Brexit people.
It yet.
All fucking Brexit people.
And it's all lobbying within itself. Yes. They've got fucking ministers who are lobbying on behalf of companies to fucking get somewhere. But Blackburn, talk about prices.
Tony, what? Blackburn?
No, Blackburn with Darwin Council in Lancashire have set up its own contact tracing system after the national £10 billion world-leading system failed to reach hundreds of its most vulnerable residents. Blackburn have the highest infection rate in England. So the council said that government programme was simply not tracing enough cases and contacting fast enough. So this is the ongoing frustration from a lot of local health officials with the National Taste and Trust. Now, this is, of course, run by an ex-TalkTalk executive Dido Harding, and the 20,000 contact tracers employed by Serco and Citel, who are contacting, the 20,000 are contacting maybe fucking a handful of calls a month each.
Yeah. No, I was reading this week about those, like, these offices where there's some people, and one of them was quite interesting actually. It's the person who's doing the work's doing it as a retired nurse and wanted to be helping really, and just wanted to do a bit, and saying that I actually feel guilty because I'm taking this money for doing this job, and I've had to ring like 3 people in the last month. And
which makes it sound like we're doing really well when the figures tell us we're not.
You want something done right, or you want it done quickly. You want to make sure you're contacting the right people, and then in 2 to 3 months' time, get in touch and say, hey, you know that pub that you went to the first week out of lockdown? I think someone might have been ill. Because that's what you're getting as well. That again, they were talking about, like, they're ringing people, and by the time they ring them, they're like, you're at risk of having COVID. And the person's like, yeah, I know. So I got in touch from the pub. Like, oh, good. And then they've got, it's like having an awkward conversation with someone that, like, a fucking wrong number. It's like, oh, everything else all right? Oh, yeah, getting by. Yeah. Fucking world beating.
This is it. Have they just been given like a fucking phone book and just, hello, have you been near anyone with COVID?
That's it. In Blackburn, you may as well do that. They may as well just be ringing up and going, have you got COVID? Yeah. Oh, can you tell me who you've seen in the last few weeks? I'll give them a go. It's kind of like upselling COVID. It's like cold calling COVID. You got COVID? Yeah. Can you give me a list of people? Because I'm sat on my arse here, so I may as well ring them.
Fuck all.
Oh, but what about data? Oh, we're cool with that, to be honest. You know, have you not heard of us?
We'll continue with the
fraud, please.
Private over public that our government likes doing. So nearly 70 clinical virologists have sent a letter to England's chief medical officer and chief scientific advisor to say that mistakes are being made in COVID handling, and testing contracts are awarded on apparent ideological grounds to the private sector rather than based on expertise. Do you think that is the case?
I do, from not a cynical viewpoint, but just from the fact that if you look at the pedigree of the people that wrote that letter, like, and you look at the breadth of that, the sort of like the audience that penned and put their name to that letter, and you look at their experience, how it all tallies up, and how they've offered their expertise.
Yes.
And it has been ignored. So many of these stories that have come up over the last few months have got basically got the same final paragraph in the story, which is which sort of says, oh, we haven't found that email. Do you remember the European Union one where it was about getting in on the ventilator thing? They're saying, we got in touch, we sent you this stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we've got no record of any contact actually.
Well, yeah, we actually updated our email, which is that particular story I spoke about on here because just a week or so before, Matt Hancock was saying how we were thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
And Rob went, oh no, we didn't get the email. How the fuck did you know about it then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly the same as this, because they got like 40 odd people that have got in touch, 40 odd agencies that have got in touch, being like, you know, we've been here. You keep talking about the sort of scientific advice now you're following. And then the other argument government use are, oh, well, SAGE is just like almost like the tip of the iceberg. So then they have lots of affiliated groups that they speak to, and then that becomes basically synthesized into SAGE, which we speak to, and we have someone from we have Dominic Cummings and someone from faculty there, and they decided to do something different. Yeah, faculty being the group that were helping him with like Brexit and now doing all the comms and sort of shit for this. But it's that it's that sort of stuff that beggars, it's the stuff that beggars belief, where now you've got, like, you know, everyone's actually going like, but we're the ones, you keep saying about scientific expertise and sort of like the expertise in these areas and boasting about our national prowess in these areas. We're the ones, that's us. And you're not asking us to do anything. We're here for you, and we'll, you know, we can help on this. It's kind of what we do. They go, no, but we've got
as an example
that were shit at the Olympics at G4S.
Oh God, that was fucking terrible. But like, an example, like the 90-minute tests that we're putting hundreds of millions into, we've already purchased fucking the futures for it. So we forked out millions, and they're by DNA nudge or LAMPOR. Virologists already use rapid tests, but have no knowledge or information on the private company tests. One of them hasn't been signed off by the regulator yet, so we've already purchased stuff that isn't fucking signed off. And it's as though this is like, we don't
Face
want
masks.
to do austerity. Well, it's as though like austerity was basically about getting money into private hands. That's all it was. Cutting everything, giving the contracts to private. We're going now saying, well, we're not doing austerity anymore, but we have found a new way of giving all the money to private people anyway, for no fucking reason I can see. But there's another company, because there's fucking every week there seems to be another contract of knobheads. Topum Gurin, which is a political communications company that was behind Tories. They're behind the Tories' controversial digital campaign in 2019. So they received a £3 million government contract to work on COVID messaging without, of course, any competitive tender, and is currently negotiating with the Cabinet Office for more work. So they were in charge. They were behind renaming the official Tory Twitter account Fact Check UK, which was blatant fucking lying, manipulation, fake news shittery. During the leaders' debate, and they were also behind setting up a website presenting as Labour's manifesto. And they're going, these are the people that you've now got in charge of COVID messaging as well, who are going to have all of this information, are going to be able to use all of this information, because you're not going to have anything fucking in place, as you have done with no fucking company, to say, well, you need to deal with this data with some form of fucking privacy and respect.
It's all about that again now. All that old shit about like checks and balances and being able to hold things up to scrutiny, and it just seems that, like I say, because there's such a high level downpour of shit at the moment, people seem to be their antenna for holding this up to scrutiny, and just it's almost as if people are just so used to all of the shit at the moment, and it's just, and that's sort of like globally as well, I think. So like every morning waking up and reading about fucking Trump, about China, about Russia, and the fake news and this, all that and the other, and then you got COVID on top. And I think there's even more than usual, there's a lot, like people are just like, oh fuck. It's almost like expected. You know, when your standards have been brought that low, people are like, oh yeah, of course they are. And no one seems to be alarmed. They seem to take it happily. Is there a way of
getting it back, though?
That's why I'm annoyed about, that's what I'm really worried about with Labour as well. The fact that even Keir Starmer, who I've got a lot of time for, there's so much trouble going on just because that infighting and that shit, that these people can't see beyond themselves to go, this is the time when the opposition really needs to be holding up the government to scrutiny, when they're still continuing to say, we have done superbly, we're just about to have 60,000 deaths, we've done superbly, well-beating. They keep going back on everything they say. They don't hold themselves to account. They give out tenders and they give out money fucking left, right and centre to mates. They constantly treat people like arseholes by saying one thing then doing the opposite with a smirk, being like, yeah. No, we're gonna take down the number of people in House of Lords. Here's 32 for you. Beefy Botham's in there. Yeah, you got all these fucking people. You're just like, oh, right, cool.
It's just still all about fucking Brexit.
Yeah.
Ian Duncan Smith this week, and Ian Duncan Smith is up there with the stupidest fucking eggs that has ever existed. I would boil a fucking egg and put that in charge of something before I'd let this fucking cunt in charge of anything. He came out this week complaining about the withdrawal agreement that we signed, that he said was fucking oven ready, that he said was going to be fucking perfect, and he voted against having any fucking scrutiny on it. And he said, "Oh, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough." Well, if only you had a chance to look at it. If only you were in some position of power where you got to have a fucking say, you absolute shit stain. I would line up every fucking politician, especially the Tories at the moment, because they're in power. I would line them up along Southend Pier and set the fucking thing on fire again. Every useless fuck nuggles, every one of them.
This hour's really setting me up for like a fun rest of the weekend. It's sort of like really getting my blood pressure up. I must say,
that's what you need. What you need, you want to go out for some fucking exercise? You start fucking swinging after this.
Yeah,
companies, this is more because we've only got like 15 minutes left. Companies that have been bailed out with public money have paid billions in dividends whilst cutting thousands of jobs in the UK. This is from the COVID Corporate Finance Facility scheme, which was to support large firms. This is from Vice. Vice found that 30%, 21 companies currently accessing emergency funds have paid billions in dividends to shareholders and investments. Come on.
I would just leave that. I think I could just sit here quietly and smiling for the next 10, 15 minutes as you read out this stuff and get really irate and annoyed. I read the, what's their name? Not Drowning Kittens. What's the name of the sort of sex party thing, which is sort of empowering for like women get to, I can't remember. It's like Playful Kid. I'm gonna look it up. That's gonna be fun. But there was some load of complaints because they'd been given, they'd applied for the loan and they'd got in. It's like, mate, is that really your worry that that the kittens people have got, not punching kittens? I'm just googling.
So you've got at least
kitten
8
sex parties. Killing kittens.
So we've got,
see, killing kittens. It's a bit like drowning kittens or punching kittens. Yeah. But yeah, they applied and they got some money. They got some money, and then loads of people complained.
Yeah, but that's from a different thing. That's not from this, because this is only for large companies. So 26 of the companies received money from the CCFF, have cut jobs and announced plans to make layoffs. Over 40,000 jobs, that is. 3 companies issuing dividends have announced redundancies totaling 6,000 jobs. The CCFF is only eligible to large companies that were in decent financial health before the outbreak. They were able to issue commercial paper, a form of debt that is then brought by the Bank of England, injecting cash into the companies. The interest, what's interesting, the interest is between 0.2 and 0.6%. Now, smaller businesses aren't eligible for this. They have to access government-backed funds through commercial banks with interest up to 6%. So straight away, these fucking already big companies with big bank balances that were already financially fine before the fucking outbreak are getting much better figures because they've got all the fucking Tories as lobbyists for them, and are also getting better fucking interest rates than smaller businesses who are going to have to pay this all back anyway.
Yeah,
at a much higher fucking interest. Again, you want to help the economy. Small businesses is how you help the economy. It's not fucking big businesses. It's small businesses. That's how the economy is going to help to fucking grow. So, like, May the 19th, Bank of England announced that any company that drew from the CCFF with terms going beyond May 2021 must sign a letter committing to restraint where dividends and executive pay were concerned. Restraint. That's the best they can fucking do. Now, I will say there have been companies who have taken this money from the government and have said that they will not be giving out dividends this year. Those companies, well done to you, as well you fucking should. But these companies who have gone, I'll have that money, you lot can fuck off, here's some money for you lot, can burn in hell. Every single fucking one of them can go to River Otter and be eaten by badgers, in my humble fucking opinion.
Badgers dressed as beavers.
At least 10 of the companies have links to tax havens and tax avoidance. Come
Makes you
on.
think, doesn't it?
At least don't give the money to people who are dodging tax, you fucking corrupt, cunty, fuck-knuckled, wank-stained shit heaps. Some of them.
What are you taking to your barbecue? Are you going to take ribs?
I've got 16 beers, 14 beers. I had to make sure they weren't poisonous before I brought them.
Okay.
So I drank a number of them.
Okay.
I was doing a fucking service, frankly.
No, there is that annoyance of again. It's similar to the IDS thing of they set up a rule and then they go, now they've taken it and we're not going to get any tax. But oh well. I mean, obviously they're doing it, so again, it's sort of like jobs for the boys, money for the boys, or whatever. But to not even show any, to sort of like not even show any regret over. Oh well, we should have written something else into that to stop that.
Well, other countries had in place, like France, I'm quite sure did, that if you were in a tax haven, that's where you'd fucking set up the company, then you're not getting any government funding. It's how it fucking should be. Now we've got like 10 minutes, so we're going to be a lot quicker in these.
Cool. We
final
can do the fun
stories. Oh yeah, nothing but shits and giggles. Tories are planning to slash controls on development, meaning hundreds of thousands of homes built in England without full-blown planning permission. Is this going to help our need for housing in this country, or is it going to create big companies building more of the same identical bullshit, and none of it's going to be social housing?
Well, there's loads of different political ways to answer that, isn't there? It's going to create more homes, yeah. Are they going to be safe and fit to live in? Possibly not. Probably not.
We're certainly
a lot of ways, because there'll be corners cut. There'll be what is it about planning permission as well? So I mean, you have trouble about where people are actually building now. There's so much.
Well, no, because there's three.
Just building.
So there's three. It's going to be divided into three categories: growth, for renewal, and for protection. Planning permission automatically for growth. Permission in principle for renewal areas. And this is all generic. Architects, of course, have come out and said that it's fucking ridiculous. Planning regulations are not to blame for the housing crisis, and deregulation is only going to make it worse. But what the fuck do they know?
Mate, again, it's sort of like, look who it's helping out, because it's not going to be helping out like first time buyers. It's not going to be helping out people who are stuck for cash, who are looking for places to live. It's going to be helping out people that go in and build. It's going to be fucking up a lot of the environment. It's such short-termism, subliminally. Short-termism, isn't it? It's fucking ridiculous. So it's basically, so they'll have a stat to say we've created this many more homes, and be like, yeah, but no one can live there. It's almost going to try and make the whole rest of the country like London, where there'll be just like loads of empty rooms. Yeah, and they'll say, well, we did our bit.
Let's move on. Eric Kaufman, who is a professor of the political department at Birkbeck Uni of London, recently called on students and others to report academics for engaging in politically motivated attempts to remove statues or alter the curriculum. This is talk on explaining more of history, changing the type of history that we're learned to maybe be a bit more honest. Eric Kaufman is one of the people who hate cancel culture, of course, absolutely despise it. It's ruining, it's all woke and everything else, except, of course, if it's helping his agenda. That's not, you don't need to say anything about that. Just bit of news. Government is ditching the pledge to test asymptomatic care home residents and staff this summer. Is there a kind of way to kill them? Instead of just letting them die via coronavirus?
They're just let them out on the roads. They just put them out.
There has to be an easier way.
Let them out near train tracks and things. So
Blackstone Group have agreed to acquire Ancestry.com from private equity rivals for $4.7 billion, including debt. What they're doing here, it seems, is placing a bet on family tree chasing as well as personalized medicine. This is another thing of, should we be allowing private companies to have access to our DNA? That frankly needs a lot longer than what we have. So if you're doing a sentence, that'd be lovely.
Yeah. That's just something for me to think about the rest of my day.
Yeah. I still haven't written the stuff on some 23 that needs to be fucking written up and turned into something funny.
I mean, yeah, there's also, should Conservative MPs have the whip taken away just because they're charged on charges of sexual assault?
Now, that is an interesting one. The only reason I would have said to not take away the whip is because that would have shown the identity of him, and the whole point of the criminal charge and everything was that we couldn't know his identity at the moment because of the criminal charges. So if they were to take away the whip, they would have gone, well, it's him. That would be the only reason. Otherwise, of course, take away from him. Final piece of news is the government are considering removing credit from a guilty plea in cases where offenders are banged to rights, whatever the fuck that means. The carrot for the credit is a carrot for the guilty to admit. If the earliest opportunity, they can get up to 33.33% off their sentence if they plead guilty, as I say, at the earliest opportunity. This can be very good for credit for guilty plea. It helps the police, it helps the prosecution, it helps complainants of crime, and the taxpayer. Of course, trials take up resources, stress for victims, although there can be an argument also with the idea that victims may feel that their attacker, as it were, is getting more lenient sentence than they should. Very quickly, your thoughts on whether or not credit should be removed from guilty pleas?
Quickly. Well, I don't know. The main thing I'm thinking about there is for like people that are so complainants and like families of victims who just want an answer and want some closure. So that's where a guilty, a confession or the guilty plea can help. Yes. So at the minute, I'd say no, but you've literally just said it to me, so I could probably say something different by later. In many ways, I'm not an expert.
None of us are. Nor does it matter in society, in the world, in life anymore. It doesn't matter if you're an expert; your opinion still matters. Well, it doesn't. No opinion matters.
I've got enough money to be an expert.
Well, that's all the time that we have. I want to thank you for coming on. Do you have anything to plug?
I'm doing an open mic on Thursday, and that'll probably be the only one this year in Leighton. Okay,
well, don't go there. They may have enough people already there.
Yeah, you might not be able to get. I think it's thunderstorms, so probably won't have.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. I'll speak to you briefly after this as a rundown. Peter closed this in a second. Goodbye to everyone, and fuck them all. Bye.